evening. How's everyone doing? Great. So are we separated by academies? Not yet? So what side will this be? So raise your hand if you, or say something. Girls Academy, where are you? Oh, y'all are so quiet. Okay. Young Men's Leadership Academy, where are you? Okay.
They were just warming up.
Okay, that was a problem. Girls Academy, where are you? Boys Academy, where are you? Do I need to go again? No. You're fine. So we can tell for sure when we separate you where most of you are. Well, good evening. It's great to see all of you. I'm missing you. I have to travel back and forth between campuses, so I don't get to spend a lot of time with families. And when I do see you, I'm here in front of a PowerPoint. So I can't wait until the 25th when I can come out with my, we don't have hammers and nails, do we? Well, hammers and nails and build that playground, so I'm really excited about that. Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about the state of Ivy, and my presentation is more about the state of our organization because we have more than just one school. So I'm going to talk to you tonight about a number of things that's currently happening across our organization. So overview of our meeting, you've heard some of the updates tonight. We're going to talk about the 5-year charter, accreditation, budget adjustments, our school calendar, and enrollment and facility plans. So we are happy that we've reached some organizational milestones. You've heard some of those already. Why is it a big deal that we have charters? I think sometimes we take for granted that the school is here, but you have to understand a charter school is a school that has a contract. And I say this all the time, and I think people get tired of hearing me say it, but I am one of you. I am a parent. I'm a parent. I was not born a charter school leader and founder. I didn't have any intentions on doing this with my life, but I was a parent. I was a parent before I was an educator. And I wanted a great school for my child. And so I started a school. And so in starting a school, the Department of Ed says, if you're going to do this, we're going to make sure that you follow this charter, which is a contract, and every 5 years, we're going to check in on you to see how you're doing. So I can't do it alone. The teachers can't do it alone. It requires parents, it requires teachers, it requires the board, that we all work towards these goals within this charter. Unfortunately, every year that we've been open as an organization, especially at the Gilbert campus, there's an issue with our charter. Either the local district wants to challenge the charter, or legislation has to be passed for us to keep the charter. So when we received these 2 charters at Kirkwood, it was a huge milestone. So that's the first time we've gotten a 5-year charter that is not going to be challenged. So congratulations, Kirkwood. We have 2 charters that the law now supports. Voters now have spoken and said that we want schools to be able to open, and that we have a group of parents that will support this mission. And I'm so happy that our principals started out with our mission because that's why we do this work. So that's a major milestone. Another milestone, IK Gwinnett received a 5-year accreditation. So it took the Kirkwood people months to work on this renewal for both of our schools, and it took the Gwinnett team years to work on accreditation. And some of you may wonder, why is that a big deal for Kirkwood? It's a really big deal because now we've laid the foundation, and next year, in our 3rd year, we will start working on accreditation for this campus. So we're really excited about that. And then, of course, the passage of Amendment 1. And for those of you who came out and did the wobble with us on election night, you know we did that because Amendment 1 will allow our schools to stay open. So that's a very big thing. We made history. And so that is a major milestone for our organization and other charter schools across the state. And I'm going to talk to you now about some of my priorities, and I've labeled them as executive priorities. I don't get to see my staff members who are in the classroom and my parents much because I have to work on these things all the time with my board and I see my leadership team. So our priorities right now focus on enrollment, making sure we keep our enrollment numbers high, and I'll talk to you about that. Our facilities plan, our staffing, and our funding. I'm going to talk to you about each of those areas. So you already heard that we're going to increase our, I don't know if we're increasing grades, but we definitely will increase the number of students that we have in this building now. So we will target at least 200 new families between the two academies. And so we're currently in our recruitment process for all of grades. So it's important that you complete your intent to return forms so we'll know how many seats we have available and how many seats will be vacant for those of you who may decide to move on to other schools. So if you don't get that in, we won't know how many students we can bring in to fill open seats. The other major issue we have right now, and some of you may have questions about this, what is our facilities plan and where are we with it? So right now we're working with a group of lenders, contractors, and brokers on a facilities plan that allow us to build out the unfinished space so that we can accommodate more students. We have 12 acres where we are, so we will continue to grow in this space. I know we already are experiencing some growing pains because we have two academies in this one building. And I've had the question asked several times, what is the plan long term? I can't share with you tonight what the plan is, but I'm happy that we have a group of people who are much smarter than I am working on that to help us understand how we can build out. Do we build up? Do we build out further into the parking lot? But next year we know that we're going to have to build out, hopefully we'll build out some unfinished space, so we'll have more classroom space. If we don't, we will have to limit our enrollment to take in fewer students so that we can use the space that's currently in the building that's already finished. Staffing. So we're also now looking for new teachers, and we're conducting a national search so that we can find the most talented and committed teachers. This is probably the most important part of my job, and it's the hardest part of my job. So I'll tell you something. I don't have teachers in the room, but people will say anything in an interview. I love children until around November. Or yes, I don't mind coming early and staying late. And then early and late becomes 6 in the morning to 6 at night. And we talk to people all the time about what the political climate is for charter schools. And we ask teachers, can you work in that type of environment? And most of the times, people will say yes in the interview process. And I believe you have excellent teachers. But it takes a lot of guts to work in a charter school when the funding is inconsistent, when the hours are really long, when your principals and your leaders are sometimes hard to work with, when parents can be demanding. But we need people who are committed to closing the achievement gap. So that's what we're looking for. And so we are in the middle of a very, very aggressive search to find the best teachers to put in our classrooms. This is the part I don't like talking about because I can't figure it out. And what I don't feel bad about is that there are other school leaders who can't figure it out either. And you have people in Washington, D.C. who can't figure it out. So I'm just here to tell you what I know about public school funding right now and how it impacts us. So with the passage of House Bill 797, we now have, I won't call it equitable funding, but it's, I would say that people at the Capitol will call it equitable because at one point, as a state charter school, we only received about $3,500 per pupil. Then it went up to about $5,000 per pupil. I think last year we were at $5,500 per pupil. This year we were closer to $7,000 per pupil. And that puts us just a little bit closer to other districts like the CAD, who may be between $8,000 and $9,000 per pupil. So we're close to where we should be. So 797 allows us to get better funding. The problem now is that the funding is delayed. When we opened the school, we opened with about 400 scholars in the building. Now we have closer to 600 scholars in the building, but we're still being funded for only the 400 scholars that were in the building. So this is a problem that has not yet been fixed at the Department of Education. There's something called forward funding, and some schools are forward funded. So if we know next year we're going to have 680 kids in the building, we should be funded for that. But next year, they're probably going to fund us only for the students in the building this year. So that is a funding flaw. We were told as early as November that they were going to fix this. We were told in December that they were going to fix it. I was told in January they were going to fix it. Well, it's February and it's not fixed yet. When we realized by December that it would not be fixed, we had to make some budget adjustments. And any of you who keep your household checkbook and you keep a budget at home, you know that you cannot survive if your expenses exceed your revenue. And as a school, as an organization, our expenses exceed our revenue. Therefore, we have to make adjustments. And so I'm going to share with you some of the adjustments we've made. The first thing we did, we looked at our largest expense, which is this building that you're in. And just so that you know, no other public school, only charter schools, no other public schools have to write a check out for their rent. Your tax dollars pay for that, or they have capital costs, or capital revenue that pays for that. For charter schools, we have to budget lease costs and utilities costs and taxes. So we had to go back to our landlord, because that was our biggest expense, and ask him if he would reduce his rent. And he's done that. But he won't do it until next school year. So right now, we're still paying a lot of money for, and I would love for y'all to try to guess what that is. It's a lot. It is a lot to run a building like this, to rent the building and to keep it lit and clean. So we did go back and we were able to renegotiate and lower the lease payment. And that will be effective as early as July 1, 2013. We also renegotiated and lowered some of our vendor contracts, which is where parents can help us, because we are going to reduce some of the hours of our custodial team during the summer. And I don't know if they've already started to reduce their hours, but they did agree to lower their fees. So we've done that. Our food service contractor has reduced some of his costs. We also reduced staff headcount, which is probably one of the most painful things we have to do, when we have to go to people and say, I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to keep you for the entire year. But the one thing I've had to become more comfortable with is explaining to people that we're a school, we serve kids, we're not an employment agency. So we have to make sure that everything we do is to ensure that our students have excellent instruction in the classroom. So when we have to reduce our headcount, we try to make sure that we reduce our headcount by eliminating positions that are not critical or that are not instruction, won't hurt our instruction in any way. And then the last thing we've had to do is to institute furlough days, which was very hard for some of our staff, because our staff was so committed, our teachers were so committed to making sure that we never take away instructional time from our students. Because you cannot furlough teachers without also furloughing students. So what we've done is that we've put most of our furlough days, we've replaced some of our teacher work days with furlough days, but there are some days that are furlough days that will impact your children's schedules. So I want to talk about the impact of furlough days. So the biggest impact, I think, financially, is to our teachers, because they lose that money. But we have several teachers, and we've done that across the network. All 3 of our schools have been furloughed. And what we've done at the senior leadership level, your principals, the deans, we've taken pay cuts. So we took pay cuts, and we had these furlough days, and we've made all of the other adjustments. There's only going to be one missed instructional day prior to spring testing. So if you have some concerns about, we already have some issues right now not being as strong as we would like to be in some of our grades, what is this going to do for this year's CRCT? There's only one missed instructional day before the CRCT. But on the school calendar, you'll see that we're going to have to end school a week early. And I put in my notes that everybody would get upset right about this point, because I know it may cause some